fist if you can. Just because you're, and don't pretend to be something else either. Don't be a benevolent dictator, but say, oh, everyone's in charge. No, you have to be clear about the fact that if you're in charge, it's, if someone says, hey, I think this should change, and you say, no, that's not going to change, and they say, why not? I mean, a perfectly acceptable answer in that case is basically because I said so. It may not be acceptable to them, but it has to be acceptable to you. Now, you can use more words, of course, to say, well, I'm in charge here, and so I've made the decision, I've considered both sides of this argument, and this is what I've decided. And you can discuss it with me further off list if you'd like. But that's, you basically, it has to come down to you have to be willing to say in public because I said so. And if people say that's not good enough, tell them, then maybe this isn't the place for you. Okay. I'm sure that could lead to people power tripping, but just avoid that, basically. Be involved in the list as much as possible so that you can set an example for the list members. And make the kinds of posts that you want to see other people making. Like I said before, praise in public, admonish in private. If you've noticed that somebody has been posting basically in a way that doesn't conform with your vision of how the list should be run, in my case, if someone keeps posting with, well, that's stupid, why would you do it that way? Do it this other way instead. Contact them off list to talk to them about it first. And that way you can talk about it sort of in private. You can say to them, look, this is why, this, and again, embody it would be nicer, I understand why you did it that way, but here's the way we try to do things here. Sort of instead of telling them the way that you tell people that something is stupid and they should do it differently, that's stupid and you should do it differently. Don't try to avoid that. More of a, we tend to prefer that things happen this way for these reasons. And if eventually it comes down to, well, that's stupid and you're just being wishy-washy and we shouldn't be afraid to call bozos bozos, then respond with, look, I don't think this list is right for you. And occasionally, one of my favorite answers is, well, the restrictions on this list are wrong, and it should be opened up this way, and they just won't accept that you won't change that. Then eventually the answer is, start your own mailing list. Nobody has yet. I've told that too, but if you don't like the way this list is being run, and you think that it's very important that there be a list that does things differently, go for it, dude. Start that list. And if you're right, then there will be more people on that list than this one. And then you can send me the membership figures and tell me I was wrong. I'm okay with that. Maybe I am wrong in this case. But stop telling me that the list I founded needs to be different. Okay? I will certainly consider that, but if I decide that no, it doesn't need to be different, and you can't accept that, start your own list, because it's really not that hard. And if you're drowning, either get help or get help to assist you, or step aside, hand the reins over to somebody else who maybe is younger and has more energy and hasn't been quite so burned out. That's basically it. They have to start at 11, so I guess we have a few minutes if anyone has any questions. Yeah?
Sure. As far as your moderation, multiple moderators, is there any kind of rules of thumb that you divide those up, like threads that have checksums less than this or greater than this, or something go to these different people? Or do you have a group large enough that you need something like that? Are there any automatic rules for dividing?
Well, not automated in that sense. Instead, what we really did is we set up a schedule. It's like moderator A is on Mondays and Thursdays, and moderator B is, just watching the list more closely. I mean, some days they don't have to do anything except read the list, which is what they do anyway. And I encourage them if they have if they're not sure that something needs to be dealt with, to get in touch with me, that sort of thing. But at this stage, we don't. As much as I've thought about it, we don't really have any automated tools like that. So yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead, and I'll look to see if anyone else puts their hand up. Okay. Follow-up question, or okay, we'll go to you.
as a less member, as a community member, how do you deal with admins that don't exist at all, and the list is kind of floundering out there, and there's, okay, a couple group of people that are really good, but then you have all of these putzes that are dragging it down even more.
Okay, in that case, well, to a certain extent, that's what drove me to establish CSS Discuss. Although it wasn't a mailing list in that case, it was a combination of the Usenet group related to style sheets and the fact that there wasn't really a practical mailing list. There was www style at the World Wide Web Consortium, but that was more about what should CSS do and where should it go in the future, and what should the interpretation of this particular sentence in the specification be, that's great as far as it goes, but not what most people want about CSS. They want to know, how do I create rounded corners on a box or whatever. I mean, you can always write to the administrator if there nominally is one. Assume that I'm just assuming that somebody's in charge. Whether or not they're doing anything, they still hold the title. Write to them to say, hey, if it's a situation where they just seem to be overworked, to say, I'd be willing to help out, to become the administrator. However, if it's a list that's been around for a while, I think you might actually just be better off starting your own. And then saying, you can always announce on the list, that you're leaving, that you're setting up a new related list, and if people want to join, that's fine. They should read the policies first, and then they get that idea. I think in a lot of cases, attempting to completely reformat an existing community just leads to much worse results, typically, because there will always be the people who either don't want to change because they don't like change, or don't want to change because they like the fact that they can be putzes. Whereas on a new list, when they show up on the new list and be putzes, and you can say, nope, no putzing, out of here, then they start to get it. So that's really where I come from on that. Anyone else? Anyone? Yeah. One last question, because I got to get off the list. Yeah, no, you.
Auto reply to top quoting or anything like that? Do you use any tools to kind of enforce some behaviors?
I've thought about it. I have two problems. One is that I don't actually have control over the box that runs the mailing list. If I ever did, I would think about automated tools to flag things like excessive quoting. But I think in the end, what I would prefer is not have automated tools that do something, but automated tools that notify me, hey, there's something that maybe you need to deal with. Because as much as I'm sending out a form letter, I'm still sending out the form letter. So if someone writes me back and responds to that and says, hey, why did you do this, then I can respond to it, as opposed to, having some script send a message. And especially on a technical list like CSS Discuss, sometimes an excessive quotation is necessary because someone has posted a block of style sheet and it needs to be picked apart. I mean, on a list like this, it's a little harder to have tools that can just automatically know when somebody has excessively quoted. So that's kind of why I tend to prefer having humans involved in that equation. And with 60 messages a day with the moderators, it's still just at that threshold where I think having humans deal with it is okay. So, all right, well, let me get off the podium so the next speaker can get up here. Thank you very much for coming here so early.